Now, we've reminded you that Joe Biden, the vice president, Alejandro Mayorkas, and Karine Jean-Pierre, and circle back Jen Psaki, they all lied. They all said the border is secure, the border is closed. Well, now the border crisis is top of mind for most Americans. Look at this from Gallup. They asked 1,000 U.S. adults, unprompted, to name the biggest problem facing the country, again, off the top of their heads. More of them said illegal immigration than anything else. There's a reason for that concern. Here's what one general just said about the continuing terror threat from ISIS, which can easily exploit Joe's wide-open borders with unvetted illegals coming, from even our top geopolitical foes. Take a look.
ISIS-K in particular, but ISIS in general, has a strong desire to attack our homeland. We should believe them when they say that. They're going to try to do it. And so I think the threat is growing. It's begun to grow as soon as we left Afghanistan and took pressure off ISIS-K. So I think we should expect further attempts of this nature against the United States as well as our partners and other nations abroad. I think this is inevitable.
And FBI Director Wray, in the last 2 congressional appearances, has been echoing that threat. It's never been this bad or this loud in his career. It's not just the threat of terrorism causing concern. Look at this. ICE announced in their latest annual report, remember, the government doesn't keep statistics on violent crimes of illegals, but they point out they arrested illegals in this country who committed nearly 50,000 violent crimes, everything to murder, from murder to kidnapping, assault, and much more. One illegal, by the way, in the state of Alabama, now stands accused of raping a disabled 14-year-old girl. Yet Biden and his Democratic pals, they're all in on enabling the crisis. In the state of Massachusetts, a former soldier's home is now being turned into a so-called emergency shelter for illegals. And while so-called asylum seekers, they get free housing there, they're also getting a free ride from a local judge in Texas who just yesterday said a bunch of the illegal immigrants, remember the ones rushing the border in front of the Texas National Guard? Yeah, they've all been set free in El Paso. And by the way, none of this shows any sign of slowing down because Mexico is too busy not helping us, lecturing America, the Mexican president on 60 Minutes, adamantly and apparently now trying to extort our country into paying what is billions and billions of dollars and changing our policy to countries like Cuba and Venezuela. By the way, here's how former President Trump responded to the Mexico president's threat.
On 60 Minutes, the president of Mexico, and says we're not going to shut down our border until you change your policy on Cuba and change your policy on Venezuela. Is it okay for the Mexican president to dictate American policy?
He said he wants $10 billion essentially just to talk. $10 billion to talk. And that's come out since. And no, that wouldn't happen with me. They would never say that to me. They would never say, before we even talk, they want $10 billion a year. Mexico just asked for $10 billion a year. They would never ask it. I wouldn't give them 10 cents. They know that.
Here with reaction, Fox News contributors Ari Fleischer and Kellyanne Conway. All right, Kellyanne Conway, so if we look at it, we've got, let's see, nearly 50,000 Joe Biden unvetted illegals arrested for homicide, rape, kidnapping, violent assault. And we're getting lectured by Mexico on what our Cuba policy, Venezuela policy ought to be. And, they want tens of billions of our tax dollars. Wow. Would that happen under Trump? I doubt it.
No, and we have proof of that. It didn't happen under Trump. Every time I hear, if Donald Trump were the president, this may not have happened, I say, well, let's roll the tape. It didn't happen. In fact, Sean, Ari, we're in our 9th year now of Donald Trump having elevated into the national consciousness and to the top of the polls now, border security and immigration. And he did it to international criticism, if not ridicule. And look where we are now. According to the AP poll, 73% of Hispanics disapprove of the job Joe Biden has done on the border, 55% of Black Americans, and in fact, 4 in 10 Democrats. You now have many of his own constituencies saying you're doing a terrible job on the border. Here's what I don't understand. If the American people tell you what's important to them, what's vexing and perplexing to them, then they're giving you a clear roadmap. Respond to them. This administration has done the opposite. They want to tell us all that what we see with our own 2 eyes, day after day, night after night, isn't real. It's not important. It's some vast right-wing conspiracy. Also, the border has become a proxy for so many Americans for a president that doesn't listen, for a Democratic Party that doesn't care, for a system that rewards those who take it easy and punishes those who work hard. When you come here illegally, not only are you not prosecuted for breaking the law, now you're actually rewarded. You get cash and cell phones and shelter and clothing. And this is what Americans see now, and they don't want it.
Let's get your take, Ari Fleischer.
Well, there's no question this is Joe Biden's gigantic Achilles heel, and he's the one who loves to show it to us because he caused this problem. During the debates, Joe Biden said, come, when he was asked what his message is to people who are trying to come to America illegally. He said, come. He raised his hand when he was asked if he would support decriminalizing people who come into America illegally. This is a crisis of his own creation, of his own wanting, because the end game for the Democrats, Sean, is to let people come in illegally, get them work papers, which leads to green cards, which leads to voting. And already in many municipalities, illegal immigrants, if they have a green card, they're not American citizens, can vote in American elections. Tell me how a municipality can keep that separate from a federal election. This is their end game. It also helps them with reapportionment, because this one New York City congresswoman said she needs the illegals in her district because that's how she gets her job as a congresswoman, because she needs that number in her district. New York otherwise is losing seats. So this is part of a political endgame for the Democrats to hold power. And that's why it sits so wrong with the American people, who are fundamentally guided by right and wrong and by respect for the law. And when there's wanton disrespect for the law from the commander-in-chief, yeah, it hurts the president, and that's what's happening to Joe Biden.
Americans, take a good look at what Joe Biden has created here. Look at the no bail laws and defund, dismantle, reimagine the police. How's that working out? How's the economy working out? Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Well, in 217 days, this country's at an inflection point. It matters. All right, Ari, thank you. Kellyanne, always great to see you.